I'm Sam Matthew. I am the Communicable Disease Supervisor and an infection preventionist that works with our healthcare settings as well as at our test sites and our vaccination sites. So today I'm going to be walking through what we want to see when we don and when we doff PPE. So at our test sites, we use kind of a modified extended use practice. So the first thing that we're going to do when we don our PPE is we're going to clean our hands. We're going to use good friction, clean all the surfaces of our fingers, making sure that we're doing this for at least 20 seconds. So we're going to clean, 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 rubbing until it's dry. The biggest things that we want to remember is that because our hands may be different sizes, we may need to use a slightly different amount than one of our peers when we're cleaning our hands. For the size of my hands, with this particular alcohol-based hand rub, I use 1 pump, but for some, I need about 1.5 or 2 pumps even. So that's going to be the biggest piece that you're going to want to remember. Also, rubbing until it's dry is also going to help you when you're putting on your gloves and continuing through your donning process. So now that my hands are dry, the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take off our source control and we're going to put on our fit tested respirator if we're wearing one, or change into another ear loop mask or another appropriate mask for wearing on our sites. So I'm going to take this off. Best practice would be to just dispose of this. So we're going to pop this in the trash. Then I'm going to take my respirator, I'm going to inspect it, make sure that there's no damage to it, move the straps out of the way for myself, open up the gussets, give myself a little bit of a guide so that I know how it's going to be centered on my face, and guide it onto my face. I'm then going to hold this respirator and put my straps on. So, where do we put our straps? Well, when we get fit tested, that may give us a little bit of a guide, but for most of us, we're going to have the top one at the top of our head and the bottom one down near our neck. We don't want them crossed over for most of us, although again, our fit testing might have some modifications for us. So now that I have it on my face, I'm going to use 2 fingers to make sure I'm not pinching, and I'm going to guide that along my nose. I'm going to make sure that I have a good seal by checking the bottom, and then I'm going to do what's called a seal check. I'm going to place my hands over the respirator, I'm going to inhale and exhale, and feel that mask move for me. All right, now that I have that on me, I'm going to then move to don my face shield. So I'm going to pop this on, and I'm going to make sure that I'm nice and comfortable with it. All right, then now that I'm moving down my body, I'm going to put on my gown. And I'm going to try and have this not touch any of the surfaces around me. I'm going to tie it behind my head. And then I'm also going to tie it around my waist. All right, and then I'm going to don my gloves. And I'm ready to work as a tester. So, let's say that I just assisted one person within a vehicle on specimen collection. In theory, the only things contaminated on me are going to be my gloves. So I'm going to remove these, dispose of them. I'm going to perform hand hygiene. Again, good friction, coating all the surfaces of my hands, rubbing for that full 20 seconds until my hands are dry. All right, now I'm going to put on a new pair of gloves. And if you see, My gloves went on okay because my hands are fully dried. There we go. And now I'm ready to help with the next person doing that specimen collection. But let's say I have contamination or damage to any of my PPE, or I'm taking a PPE break, lunch break, or it's the end of my shift. How do I take this off? Well, it's actually really easy. So for most of us, we've done this a million times. We decide that this gown is no longer our best friend. That's the way I always think of it. It's provided us a ton of protection, but now we want it off of us because it's hot. So we're going to grab across our body. Okay, we're going to touch gloves to the exterior. We're going to pull. Guide that down, only touching the exterior of our gown. Okay, we're going to guide off one glove. And then, now that I have an ungloved hand, I'm going to go on the interior of my gown here, touching the inside. Guide that off. I'm going to pop this waistband. I'm going to fold it, roll it away from me, and then I'm going to put this in the trash. And now that that's in the trash, I'm going to clean my hands, and then I can take off my face shield and my respirator. Again, using good friction, cleaning all those surfaces. At least 20 seconds. Clean, clean, clean. All right. So then we're going to grab the back of the band, or if we're using a face shield that has the earpieces that rest on our ears, we're going to grab those earpieces, take this off of us. If we're going to reuse this, we can place it on a surface so that we can disinfect it. So I'm going to place it here so that I can clean it in just a moment. And then I'm going to take my respirator off. Again, if I'm going to be reusing this, which for most of us, we're just going to dispose of this, but there are some capacities in which we'll redon this. We're going to take this off and put it in the appropriate container that we're going to be utilizing. Again, we don't want to touch the exterior of the mask because that's been doing all the filtration for us. So we'll put this, the way I always think of it, dirty down inside of that container so that we're not interacting with it. Otherwise, again, for most of us, we'll just discard this away. So I'm going to pop that in the trash. I'm going to clean my hands, and then I'll don my source control, and I'm good to go.